right. Hi, Dominic. I hope you're doing good. So, let's start the session today by telling me a little bit about yourself, your background, your education, and how you ended up, being the founder of Ads Performer.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting. It's been a while since I've been on a podcast. Long story short, my name is Dominic. I'm the founder of Ads Performer. In February, we celebrate 7 years of existing. So basically, I'm born and raised in Austria. Nothing special, I would say, also classical school dropout. Not here to tell any story about it, but it was really true. How I came up with the idea of Ads Performer, so long story short is I'm based in a town, Innsbruck it's called, where tourism is more or less the number one industry people work in, or most jobs are created from. And I work basically in the summer holidays for a hotel, and I saw a gap in the market back then because they basically had Booking.com and other booking channels to bring them some guests. So that's how I came up with the idea of why not running paid ads directly to their website and getting them away from Booking.com. And I would say back in 2016 it really started with that thought.
That's quite impressive. That's quite interesting as well.
Thank you.
Because in a country that has, more of tourism, I don't think people would imagine to bring up something like marketing or paid ads. That might have been a new concept back then when you started, I'm assuming.
I mean, they have how it's called, like full service agencies, doing all the way from printing flyers to websites in the different valleys. But Innsbruck itself is 130,000 people in total, roundabout. Very likely student city right now, or more or less always. So the hotels and big guests coming from internationally all go to the valleys. So there have been some agencies, of course, doing that mainly with Google, but I think Meta or Facebook back then was not so big and well known.
What has been like the initial challenges of you approaching to hotels? Has that been a challenge to bring clients to pick your service? Because I mean, like, since you mentioned Meta and Google ads were quite new back then, so someone buying a new concept and making them believe that this is going to work for you might have been a bit challenging. So what have your struggles been with it?
I would say, before even mentioning the concept, they believe in you. Right? I think there was a lack of belief because nobody knows you. You're brand new. You don't really have a company or any track record, right? So how it works in the hotel industry back then for me is like, for that hotel I worked back then, that was kind of my case study, and it was a good hotel. But of course, people were not willing to pay for you. So what I did was giving a month free in exchange to get a testimonial. And believe me or not, I never got a testimonial. Maybe one, but with that you could not really leverage it. So believing in yourself, because you're young and you think you got it all, in that industry is very, very hard. Second one is, most of the hotels back then, they were still owned by the seniors or by their parents, and they had the money and the final decision maker. So some young ones pushed the ideas that I have, but did not get the financials. I would say lack of belief and not really the full decision making was one of the biggest struggles then, for sure.
So how did you get into performance marketing, or how did you get into digital ads? Is that something that you learned by yourself, or was that a course that you've done?
In the first place, like most people would say, a course. In my case, it was really just a random YouTube video back in May 2016, where a German guy spoke about, this new financial freedom model. Start your own SMMA, social media marketing agency, and you just need 5 clients and you make 5 figures, and then you're free, and you live your dream. I liked the concept back then, but I was more interested in how can I adapt it my own life and for my own cases, in that case hotels, right? So it was really a random YouTube video, and then just learning by doing and executing. And yeah, that's basically how it started.
So how long did it get for you to get your first client?
My real first paying client, I have to say it took me more or less 3 years. So I saw the YouTube video from 2016, but my mindset, of course, was a way back from, self-confident, I can make that work, lack of self-belief. So technically my first client I got within a month, right, for that hotel I worked with. Paying, I was afraid to charge money from it. And when I learned the idea in 2016, it took me 3 years to start the company back in 2019. So actually my first paying client I got by the end of 2018, I think it was November or December. Because I shifted my mindset, you shift your circle, you change your circle and everything, and that helped me a lot.
Right. Definitely makes sense. Especially, the starting years of, trying out something new are the most experimental years, I believe, because you get to learn a lot of things in spite of, failing and not getting anything out of it. You get lessons and you get things that you can, reflect on, things that you can take back, and that can help you in the long term, I believe.
100%. I agree on that. And at the end of the day, you can always believe in yourself. And I have to say, like, my parents were a big success of it because they always believed in me and I always had their trust and back. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change that you have to go the journey by yourself. And I think this is, it can be a very lonely road. But the experience you make is, so incredible. So I think, like, it sounds always easier, but you need to believe in yourself and execute, right?
Yes,
you just need to take action.
Right. What would you suggest if someone is starting out, in the same journey as you? Or what would you suggest yourself back in 2026, the mistakes that you would avoid in order to get your first clients? What would those be?
Let's cover your first question. I mean, back then, you did not have ChatGPT, right? So today you can take your phone and you can talk to it and say, like, give me a 30-day execution plan for goal X, Y, Z, and you basically can follow it. You should not follow it blindly, but I would say, like, using the technology you have today, because I don't want to say we live in a world where excuses should not be there anymore, but literally you don't have excuses anymore. Everybody has access to the same tools. Mistakes, I would say charging higher prices straight from the get-go on, because an agency model is, the beauty of an agency model is you get retainers. It's more or less like a subscription. But two main mistakes I would avoid: charging higher prices. At least back then I charged less than 1,000, or I think I started with 1,000. With 1,000 euros, divided by 30, that's what you earn per day. You can't hire people or outsource a lot of things. Second part is long-term agreements, at least 6 months. So high prices plus setup fees in the beginning. So, you charge a setup fee, for example, of 2,000, get it up front, plus your retainer, let's say, is another 2,000. So you have 4,000 for the first month already. Then you can plan or get tools or whatsoever. Higher pricing, longer contracts, and using the technology today to find clients.
So I tell you my experience. We were running a performance marketing agency as well. And one of the most difficult things that we have experienced is not being able to retain the client. Because most often times, especially when we deal with clients in India is still new to the concept of performance marketing. A lot of traditional marketing is something that people stick to. So it's more sort of first educating the lead and then turning them into a client. So what happens when we usually pitch for a retainer of, like, let's say 3 months or 6 months, most sort of leads would want to first try out the service for, let's say, a month or 2, and then want to stick to a retainer. And about let's say out of 10 clients that we deal with, we only get up to like 3 or 4 who end up taking the retainer, and the other ones, they take the service for free and they drop out. That's been quite a cycle of problem. So how did you get to deal with convincing clients to have a retainer or to stick to a long-term contract?
I think everything is based on trust. When you're starting out, you don't really have the experience, you don't really have processes and so on. The second part is saying completely no to low ticket clients. I hate those words, but with low ticket, I mean like, if somebody pays you 1,000, right? But somebody sitting in a office job gets more. Nothing against people who have an office job, just to make it clear here. It's very hard, right?
Yeah.
So saying completely no to every client, go on every sales call to make experience, but say no to low ticket clients. Second is, of course, I think like mindset is everything. So if you believe and live a premium agency, then you will attract the right people. So I kind of believe in this law of attraction too. And the third part is become friends with higher prices, right? You want to be chosen as well. And I believe maybe the fourth step would be in every industry you have top 10% of the best running businesses in each industry. We do e-commerce. Our target market is mainly e-commerce, supplement, skincare brands internationally. And what we are doing is like we look for them when they do at least 30K a month, because we tell them if you do less than 30,000 euros a month, you don't need a freelancer or an agency. It's just too expensive and it will cut your profit margin. And I would say the last tip is going away from your local town as well. I think India is great. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of Indian friends, very smart people, engineers in Copenhagen, in Denmark. But what they told me, like if I have stand in India and have gone through the jobs, I would never earn that much money. I can never pay my family. That's what I learned from them. So I think like when you run an online business, always reach out to people sitting in Australia, the US, etc.
Right. Definitely makes a lot of sense. So I've seen quite, a lot of your results that you posted on Threads and Instagram. That's actually one of the reasons why I've reached out to you, to understand how did you get to those set of results. So let's say there's an e-commerce brand that's starting out as a new business and they want to sell all across the world. How would you, plan out campaign for them that would end up not burning their cash, but at least get them, 5x or 4x ROAS? How would you do it for, what would you suggest for an e-commerce brand?
I would firstly, I try to make it briefly because it's a longer story. Everything starts with foundations. So I would completely tell them, go away from internationally in the first place, focus on your local market. So we have a lot of clients in the German, Austria, also Scandinavia regions, but right now I would say more and more in the US. We always say like, hey, look, if you're an e-com brand located in Germany with 80 plus million people, of course not everybody is your target audience or your dream customer, you have a big enough demographic. Build a brand, make product market fit work first before you think of going to Denmark, Sweden, for example. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing is you need to have a deep understanding, that's what I mean with foundations, target audience. So research, reviews, on Trustpilot, etc. Once everything is done, we always come up with a creative strategist that we have in-house, build out different kind of ad concepts that are very unique to that brand, right? And before we execute meta ads and so on, of course we do creatives, yada yada yada. At the end of the day, what we are aiming for is we give them enough budget. We make sure that they have enough budgets to test those concepts. And in the first place, I would always, or you have to acquire new, and you need to take the cost, the higher cost per customer in place. Because acquiring new customers cost more money. So have a no-brainer offer, have a good offer, have product market fit, social proof, understand your audience and execute from there. Look to competitors. You can use AI, no advertisement here, but or foreplay. It's a bigger, more in-depth analysis of your competitors' ads and so on, and find unique ways. And long term, what I always say, paid ads is not the right channel to grow long term. It's really influencer marketing and especially email marketing for profitability. But right now it's like adapt, Don't copy concepts, and make unique concepts for each awareness stage, and have the right prices, social proof product market in place. And then you can come to those numbers. You find winners, you scale them, you iterate them.
Yeah.
So for me, it's easier to show a real life example than here on theory, but I would say it comes really down to the foundations.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've seen this with e-commerce clients a lot, they start off with, running paid ads in the first place without building a brand presence, without doing UGC, without doing influencer marketing, without even having like initial posts on their Instagram, which is like one of the biggest mistakes, I believe, which can, impact the way that their ads are going to run, or the ads are going to burn, or the ads are going to make profits for them. So yeah, definitely what you said is it doesn't work for a very long time. It's not a very sustainable thing that you do for e-commerce, but it definitely brings out, I believe you first have to work on the foundation, then ads, and then for the long term go for like UGC or testimonials or influencer marketing. That's how it works, because a lot of times I see people first placing paid ads, then followed by brand presence and influencer marketing.
100%. And algorithms are changing. There is this big topic of Andromeda right now, but if you're very good advertiser and you understand the psychology, behavior, why people click on the ad and then make a purchase at the end, at least that is the goal our clients aim for and go for, then 50% of your homework is already done, and that meta update is not so a huge thing for you, because it was always about having a higher volume of different creatives and creative diversification. It never changed, right? The biggest struggle till today is really the tracking part, because of iOS cookies, Apple privacy, etc. So and the KPIs that you aim for, you need to, we always optimize for cost per acquisition, but this is only the number one KPI in the ad account. In the back end, we optimize really for a high average order value for a customer, how we can increase that month by month, customer lifetime value, and of course the net cash flow each month. That's how you can really scale. You can make the best ads in the world, but if you spend more than you make, then break all your margins, right?
Now, I'm going to ask something in terms of, AI tools. What sort of AI tools are you using, in order to run campaigns? If you've used any, what's the, results that it's bringing? Is there something that's missing, or is there some sort of gap that can be fixed in terms of AI being used, especially for digital ads?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing is for sure the tracking part, as I mentioned before. You have great tools like Triple Whale, Profit Metrics, etc. So we use for tracking a lot of Triple Whale. But the question I always have to myself is it really that accurate, right? Because, in the Shopify backend, you never have, I don't believe in 100% tracking anymore, especially when people opt out for the cookies or, any new iOS update, etc. So we use Triple Whale also for reporting. Yes, it's cost effect, it's very expensive depending on your annual revenue, but it's something a client covers anyways. It gives you a better picture on is the cost per new customer anyways, and they have these Mobi agents where your clients or your team can chat with the reportings, so that is amazing. Atra AI, so it's similar to Foreplay. We can see and spy on our competitors and see their ads in and that is really cool. You can do creative briefing, and I would say very similar, of course, more and more still ChatGPT, but I would say what we've used right now is Abacus AI. It's also called Chat LLM. So you can use all those tools in one chat. And of course, for research, we use Perplexity Pro. That is amazing as a creative strategist. But I would say the biggest game changer is communication Slack, and then really the Miro board, where you can really visualize, plan funnels. You have an overview of, your marketing activities, etc. I think Miro as the visual whiteboard tool is one of the best for team collaborations.
The reason I asked you this question is because we're building our very own AI tool that is very
I see that.
that's very specific to e-commerce brands. So we're trying to, as you mentioned, tracking is not always transparent, and that's been one of the greatest issues that we've been facing in order to, train our model, because our model needs a lot of tracking, like a lot of data,
Yeah.
a lot of information. The more information you put into it, the better it, gives the output. So we're trying to fix the issue of, the phase where you call the learning phase when you run an ad campaign, where the platforms like Meta or Google, they eat up a lot of your budget initially in order to learn the campaign. So we're trying to cut down the cost of that learning phase in order to bring out more sales or more revenue, or cut down CPC and stuff like that for e-commerce brand. But again, in order to be able to give out the most accurate results, we need a lot of information. So we're trying out sources from Triple Whale as well. We're trying sources from Shopify. We're trying sources from Meta's dashboard. But again, Meta's dashboard is very restricted to being open
Not
to
accurate
like
for
that.
sure. Yeah.
Yes, not accurate as well, because that's the way they make money. I believe that's how.
It's also depending on the attribution models, right?
Yes,
If you use the 7-day window frame, attribution, I would say, is besides tracking one of the hardest pain points for e-commerce.
Yes,
Especially when you run ads on different channels.
So if let's consider, you have to build a product, what would that be in the future? It might not be now, but if you had to build a product that could solve, problems for your clients or for your target audience, what would that one product?
I'm a big fan of an all-in-one product, and I'm still looking for it for the agency today, right? And I think there's nothing better than Slack. So what we are doing right now is like, you have different project management systems like Monday, Trello for different clients, right? And then you have Miro. Most of the time you have problems with integrating those systems into your, let's say, communication channel. That's what we build out with Slack right now. I would do the same as an all-in-one tool. I would have one tool like similar to Foreplay or HAI, where you can do creative briefing, spy on your competitors. But I think my main focus would be an AI media buyer that makes decision on your expertise on your behalf. Okay. So you connect them to your Facebook Meta ad account, Google ad account. I think there's one company that has it already, and then you can automate rules. You can say like, hey, if this campaign did not hit a 3x ROAS in the last 3 days, cut it off. Right? So those micromanaging parts in the ad account, this classical media buying stuff, it's not about push the button. So big shout outs to all media buyers that are adapting right now. It was never about pushing buttons. That would be for sure the number one tool I would build. Right. Test that first, get feedback, and then basically make other features on top of that.
So are you still dealing with hotel clients or hotel? I know that you're doing hotel and e-commerce, but any other industries apart from that?
No, it's really the main part. We work with agencies too. We always get requests like, hey, can you basically do workshops for our teams to adapt, to gain knowledge, to make our team better in advertisement, getting better results for their clients. We see us more and more as a growth partner, I would say, right? So hotel is still the case. E-com, is something my heart is beating all the time because it's an amazing industry. Let's see what the future holds. I'm always open to it, but I don't wanna be the expert for every niche or industry, and I'm not staying behind every single industry.
Right.
But I'm open always for new territories. Let's call it this way.
That's good. So what does future of ads performer look like to you? Like, what do you want to do next? Where do you want to take this next? Because I'm assuming you already have enough competition. You might be standing out, but again, what's something that you have back of your mind that you want to do with ads performer?
I think the next step or the dream of every agency is getting completely away from retainers and ROAS deals and get the partnership with your clients more deeply, let's call it this way, to, let's say, becoming a shareholder and get part of that. So that is one of the things. in some communications already. I don't want to say more because of NDAs and trust of my clients. One partnership I'm looking forward. It's something in this year or in the next years. Of course, with the agency, in terms of clients, new revenues. So we hit 100 million in 20 months for one US supplement client. That was something we never believed on. So if we make it to, if we can double that, for example, it's a great case too. Of course, always hard. They have investors, and the problem is also talking about the future. The problem these days is like if you work with bigger brands with those NDA contracts. Don't get me wrong, it's a pain in the ... sometimes, because you can only share some things, but you can't really talk about the name, or you can't share any ad accounts whatsoever. So that's, I would wish for more clients, especially in the European Union, would be more open to do. Other future is, I think I'm not a big fan of planning 5 years ahead, but partnership, having a great team, and I would say building a personal brand, I would say, is also one thing. So I started already on Instagram. So personal brand as a founder. I guess for you too, right? I guess for you it will.
I should have done this way back, but I think I'm a little too late to it. But
I think it's never too late. But I think besides AI, it's great to do. And I love your videos with different founders as well. They are great.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of my competitors being able to, make more just because they have a online presence, which we did overlook in the initial stages. But now I've made it part of my schedule, made it part of my, the priority list to have my personal branding, as part of it, because it definitely helps, reach out to more people, let more people explore what I'm doing or what I'm doing. So it's definitely good to have personal branding.
And you grow your network as well, right? At the end of the day, I watched your shorts already, and I think with that software you're using right now, it's great to do that.
Yes. So how many clients have you got currently, Dominic?
You mean active ones or in total?
Active ones?
It's a bit hard to say because some agreements have not signed yet and January is not over, but actively we have around 27 right now.
Okay. And what's your team size like?
Depending if you calculate freelancers and so on as well, so it's round about, might be by end of Q1 by 16, 17. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So do you take in, freelancers from around the world, or you're very specific?
I have to say, you have different talents. So with media buyers, for example, I have great talent that I found in Brazil, for example. But when it comes to ID, India is a great example. Of course, sometimes the time zones are a bit difficult with, overseas. But for example, also creative strategist for Eastern Europe, very talented, Romania or Baltic countries, I would say very underrated too. You have very, very talented people. Then of course some local ones in Denmark or in Austria, for example, we have very talented people. I think it's always depending who reaches out to you, but I'm currently in contact with a creative strategist, I would say very young one, very talented one from Romania. Looks like a good fit as a freelancer. How about you? Where do you find them? Mainly in India or also around the world?
So initially we did try, hiring in India, but India has got a bit too saturated since the last couple of years. Yeah, they are quite few, performance marketers, developers, but again, you either pay a lot and not get anything in return, or you pay very little and get very little in return. So we are currently exploring, so developers, we got them in India, but our business development, social media, we have a couple of freelancers from Australia. We have one guy from
Wow.
Dubai. We have two interns from Indonesia. We've got one intern from Philippines. So we've been doing a lot of
Philippines are great too, especially
yes.
VAs. They're
Yes.
great.
So we've been doing a lot of collabs with university where university graduates are onboarding after they graduate, or they're starting off as interns and then we hire them as part-time or freelancers and then push them into full-time roles. So that's been working out well. Since we are a startup, we don't have a lot of funding enough to hire full-time. So this kind of model has been working pretty well. But I've had really good experience working with, students from Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam. Because
They have really a great work ethic. Sorry, I did not want to interrupt.
Yes, and I feel very, very accountable because I believe these parts of the country have not been saturated yet. Like India has been, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they've been like quite saturated. They've been doing like freelancing and a lot of this to a lot of US clients, Europe clients, Australia clients. But yeah, I believe these parts of the country have not been touched as much. So we're making good use of it, I believe.
I love that. I mean, it's really depending, If, for example, when I look to Denmark, in Denmark, if you hire somebody and so on, it's a great country, but of course it's then sometimes like 2-3 times more expensive than in other parts in the world, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think like it doesn't matter where they are from. I think everybody's individual and has its own talent and full potential.
Definitely.
It's also depending, like what I heard sometimes is like working for an agency is not that great as some people expect. That's what you hear sometimes in the German regions. I don't know. I think like you need to create a warm and really great environment as a founder.
Yeah.
That's your job besides making sure that everything runs smoothly, right?
Definitely. See, I believe whoever is joining into my team, even though they don't stay for a very long time, I believe if I could teach them something by end of the internship or end of the time they're leaving the company, that is what truly values or truly matters for the other person. Because if I was starting out fresh and I had a mentor to mentor me on what to do, even though I didn't know what to do, I would remember that person until the end of my life, because that is going to take me really long in my professional journey. So I want to be that person to all of my employees or to all of my interns, whoever is joining or whoever is working with.
I love that. It's the best thing you can say. Because even if they're just here for an internship or whatsoever, or remote people, right, like freelance, from the first day on, I think communication is everything. And if you help them and you make them feel like, hey, welcome and appreciated, but I think like you also need to give them the space and give them their a room of creativity, especially creative strategists or graphic designers. They need their creative space to really give you and the clients the full potential of. Otherwise, of course, there are always deadlines or settings that they need to, or rules. Give them the space and always give them value, not just based on expertise, but something that can help and benefit them in the future.
Definitely, yeah. That is very important for any founder or any startup founder. Yeah.
100%.
So that's for the session today, Dominic. It was really informative talking to you. I got to learn a lot of things about, the industry that you're working with, the insights and everything. And I wish you good luck for whatever you're working towards. And just keep in touch. And I think in the long term, if things go well, we might be able to collaborate.
100%. Thank you very much. And as I said, all the best to you as well. And I'm looking forward to test out your tool, and we stay in contact all the time.
Definitely.
Yeah. Take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.